that of the Romans at various moments in their more than 1,000-year history. According to Cullen, the ties that bind the two cultures include the condition of being a superpower, tensions caused by ethnic differences, the persistent memory of civil wars long after the last battle was fought, a sense of the fragility of political structures and decline of the human condition, the relaxation of moral and religious bonds, and a pushback against the countercultures. At the heart of it, Rome around the last century BC and the beginnings of the 1st century AD, and America in the second half of the 20th, share a sense of modernity, by which I mean a few things. By then, Rome had more or less established herself as the dominant power in the Mediterranean world. The absence of serious external enemies, along with the sheer size of her empire, led to competing struggles among those whose task it was to govern the state and extend and defend its vast borders. Starting in the middle of the century, these competing forces clashed, and a series of civil wars led to the elimination, by death on the battlefield, murder, and assassination, of one figure after another, along with the defeat of the ideals or interests they represented. The names are well known: Pompey the Great, Julius Caesar, Brutus, Mark Antony, all killed in a succession of bloody civil wars that went on for 18 years. By around 30 BC, Augustus Caesar, the last man standing, delivered the final blow to the Republic and stepped in as the first emperor of Rome. This period of political uncertainty coincided with the emergence of a brilliant succession of poets and other writers, as happens at moments of political and national crisis or greatness. Athens in the 5th century BC, Elizabethan England, America and Great Britain between the two world wars, the rise of the so-called moderns. Such moments give rise to a heightened sense of the past, along with uncertainties about the future. In each of these periods, new art forms responded to what was happening, disrupting the old forms and traditions, busting them up, renewing what had gone before, moving into uncharted territory. The Roman poets in question will become familiar in the pages that follow: Catullus, Virgil, Horace, and Ovid. Others would have filled out their ranks, but their texts did not survive the centuries. Their art addressed the large issues of their day, the perilous state of their world, and the aftermath of civil war. Similarly, Dylan's art would speak to the horrors of the wars of his day, the Second World War and the Cold War that followed, historic episodes like the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the fear of nuclear warfare, eventually Vietnam, even Iraq. And in both cases, through music and poetry that would prove to be enduring, memorable, and meaningful to ages beyond their own, Dylan and the ancients explore the essential question of what it means to be human. Dylan's songs have been part of my song memory since my mid-teens, but it would be decades before they became more fully aligned in my mind with the Greek and Roman poets I was beginning to read back then. And it was chiefly in the 21st century that Dylan started to reference, borrow from, and creatively reuse their work in his own songs. I first began to make the connection after a trip to the coast of Normandy, where I had been invited in the spring of 2001 to give a lecture at the University of Caen on Virgil and other Roman poets. My host, Catherine Mason, a linguistics professor there, met me at the train station. She suggested that instead of touring the town, pretty much pummeled out of its historical state before the D-Day invasion of June the 6th, 1944, we might head for the beach. That sounded good to me, so I followed her to the parking lot. As we got into her car and she turned the keys in the ignition, music came blasting from her car.